Down on the dock for the final day here in Helsinki. I'm joined by Mark Bulkley from GAC Pindar. Mark, you guys bang at the top of the leaderboard. 7 wins from 7 races yesterday, but slightly different conditions potentially out there on the racecourse today.
Yeah, it's a different wind direction and it's significantly less strength, so we'll be full main today, and like every day, we'll go out there and we'll aim to have the best day we can, and as long as we feel that we sail our best, normally the scoreboard looks after itself. So yeah, we're in a good position, but that doesn't mean we'll sort of rest up, I guess.
And I actually got a lift down with some of you guys in the hotel, and then we just went straight in, had a couple of cappuccinos. Do you guys do any kind of adjustments to your rig, to your boat before you go out sailing? It all seems kind of relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, it is relaxed. I mean, we came down this morning and we cleaned the boat and we checked a few things over and we reset the rig back to a sort of, I guess, base setting, which is kind of where we start from each day. And as I said, it's a very different day. So if we went out with yesterday's settings, we wouldn't be very fast. So we'll go out and we'll do some sailing and we'll evaluate how the boat feels and we'll change a few things out there and see how we go.
Okay, and then just if we just we're going to take a step back and just to look at the boat. We've got just talk us through the controls on the boat as you're actually adjusting both here on the dock and then potentially out in the water.
Yeah, so here on the dock we've got obviously our front and back shrouds, which can control mast rake. Yep. They also have some effect on where they connect up there as to how the mast bends under main sheet load. But yeah, they tend to be fairly fixed for the day. But outside of that, our main control is the pre-bend in the mast, which Simon's just going to now. There's a little bolt at the bottom there. Yeah, so we have I think it's a 24mm ratchet spanner, so we can adjust that pretty quickly. And that effectively tightens up the wires that are attached to the spreaders halfway up the rig there, and the more tension we put in it, it compresses the mast and forces a bend into it, and that bend reduces the power in the mainsail. So yesterday, being a windy day with a reef, we would have had them pretty tight. I won't go into exact numbers, but we basically just go on X number of turns per increment in wind speed. Today's been lighter. We'll be wanting a more powerful mainsail, so we've backed them all the way off.
Even though you've got full main.
Yeah, so it goes in stages, but right now, looking out there, I'd have said we'll be probably full main, and then we'll start on our base setting, and we might go up probably +1, we would call it, which is just a number of turns on. And then we would do some sailing and see how that feels, and then probably a race, and if we feel comfortable, we would leave it. And after each race, we have a little chat. Did that feel good? Did we do well because we were fast, or we just got lucky, or we got a good start? And we evaluate as we go. And then during the race, we have outhaul, which we adjust before the race. We have main Cunningham, which is another way of depowering the mainsail that's adjustable during the race. And then main sheet tension and traveller are the two sort of trim settings that are always been used through the race.
And the extent to which you're, when just as a sort of dinghy sailor, you might kind of be thinking, we get a gust, we'll let the main out. Just talk to us a little bit about in the catamaran, as the gust hits, as you're managing the power in the mainsail. What's your principal point of control for the trimmer?
Yeah, so I trim the mainsail, and it's a fine balance. You could just leave the traveller pinned in the middle and let the main all the way out, but to a certain extent, the amount of main sheet tension you have controls the mast bend you have, which, if you ease it too much, you actually get a fuller mainsail, and then you end up in a vicious circle where you end up easing more and more, and it gets fuller and fuller. So Garth Ellingham on our boat on GAC Pindar, he's on the Traveller, and we work together with Ian, talking about what's happening with the wind, and Ian will steer a bit to help control the power and the gust, and I'll ease a bit to help twist the main, and Garth will ease a bit of Traveller to sort of take a bit of the power out of it. He has a much more direct effect on the power. I affect the way the mainsail shape looks. So it's a kind of real team effort, and then Brad's calling the pressure, and if I need Cunningham adjusted or mast rotation adjusted, then I send him in to do that for me. So it's just a constant loop of just talk about the conditions. And yesterday, actually being windy all day, it was actually fairly straightforward in terms of the setup, because it was the same all day, whereas I suspect today it might be a bit more tricky.
And GAC through 2016 have been perhaps one of the strongest teams in the Breeze. It's sort of one of those things that when it's been windy, that was like the first time you like pushed up to sort of win an event and be top leaderable both in Fremantle, and again during the season. Yeah. What do you think you guys are doing that's making that work for you that other people perhaps are missing?
That's a good question. I guess I don't know what it is about people from the UK, and I think New Zealand as well. We're two English, 2 British guys and 2 Kiwis, and if you look in Olympic sailing, for example, generally British sailors especially are always happier when it's windy. I think it's just when you grow up in England, it's a windier place than, say, the Med. And if you look at Spanish sailors, they're generally better in a light sea breeze and a shifty sort of wafty wind. They have their day, and I think part of it might just be natural, what you learn first. But we're at the bigger end of the scale for the 4 guys. We're always within a kilo of the weight limit. So we've got 4 big guys. Well, and all of us are in. It's not like we have 3 big guys and 1 really small guy. So when it gets windy, sometimes you're out of position and you need another guy to fill in. And if you have an imbalance in the size and strength across your guys, if you get out of position, that can have a major knock-on effect. And I think we can all do every role on the boat. I mean, actually, at times, Ian doesn't steer out of some manoeuvres and stuff because actually all of us are quite competent helmsmen in our own right, and all of us could trim a mainsail if we needed to, and all of us can call a ley line if we need to. And I think in these boats on these short race courses, it's a real skill to have 4 guys on board that could all do everyone's job. And in the lighter winds, maybe that isn't such a prerequisite. So I guess that might give us a certain edge in some conditions.
Great stuff, mate. Well, good luck out in the water, and we'll be watching to see how it all unfolds.
Thank you very much.
Great. We're just going to walk along, see who else. So that's, great tuning insight there from Mark Bulkley from GAC, sort of opening up how they're setting up the boat. We're just going to dive on here with Johnny Berntsen and team. And Freddie, perhaps you could come over. Jacob. Well, listen, Freddie, I was watching you guys wrestling this morning, and it kind of looked like there were a couple of guys. I know you're a professional wrestler, but it kind of looked like you didn't win. There were 2 of them, but you didn't win.
Yeah, I didn't win today, but it was 2 of them, and I have taken Holger to the Olympic Wrestling Club and taught him a few things. So I have to credit me as a coach for not for me not beating them so easily.
And because you didn't win 2-on-1, you're gonna bring Jacob along next time, because I think you guys together perhaps unstoppable force.
I think if me and Jacob comes, then they would need to be 3 or 4.
3 or 4 on the other guys. And Johnny, what do you feel about all this? Is this like, the energy on board Team Flux, building as these guys are sort of warming up for the fight on the dock?
Well, I'm a bit worried. I have to admit that they take all the power before the race starts, but for sure I've seen these guys working hard for a long time, so I think we will handle it very well.
And when you're going around the top, Mark, and you're saying, "Hey, come on, get the Gennaker out! Hurry up, do it faster!" Do you think, well, maybe I should be more respectful because they all look pretty big, tough, and strong?
Yeah, well, I don't yell too much because it can come back on me later on. So
an on-board wrestling game in this boat, maybe.
I will not be a winner on that. I think so.
Okay, well, listen, you won't maybe not going to win the wrestling fight, but you may win today. Good luck in the racing out there. A little further along, try not to trip up. Close one. Helga. How are we doing, chap? Hello. Life aboard Typhoon X. How you guys kind of getting better and better each day, and new day, new conditions. Ian looks a bit complacent down the end there. You guys going to close out a couple of races?
Yeah. I mean, like, if we got a new name for them for Flux in Finland. It's called Hakkihäligen, and all the Swedish fans will know what that means. It's really good. No, we're not really worried about Flux. There's a bunch of old guys not really knowing what they're doing, really strong, and the heavy breezes for sure give them an advantage over us.
And you guys kind of gave Freddie here a bit of a hiding on the dock. It looked like in the pre-race dock fight.
Yeah, Freddie is famous for being a wrestler and had sparred some of the Olympic Swedish wrestlers. And last year, me and Philip Karlsson gave it a good try to beat him up when we sailed with Ram, but we couldn't do it. Now I have my new companion, Jacob Wilson. and we actually managed to pin him down and give him a good fight. It was good.
Great stuff. And just further elsewhere on the boat, you know, you guys really kind of going from strength to strength out there. How long is it going to be until we're seeing you guys, you know, being banging in the first places over the finish line, race after race? You know, where, is it going to be today?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. I think Ian is a big breeze sailor, so I think we'll have an advantage today.
Okay, it's certainly going to be full mains today. Talk us through the changes you guys might have made to the boat going out for racing today.
Yeah, we can ease the tension of the diamonds and also put the rig a bit further forward, and the rest is secret, you know.
Ah, the secret Homburg settings. Okay, well, good luck today. We're actually going to go a bit off piste. Bill O'Hara, fresh back from, I think you're in this cage. It looks like you're in a cage. I'm going to come round, see if we can get the camera around the corner. So we're on board one of our international judges' boats here. And Bill, your job, along with the rest of the umpire teams, to try and keep the boats apart. Didn't look like you did a very good job yesterday. I think there were a couple of penalty points and a couple of taps.
Yeah, there were. I mean, we do have a penalty system where, as well as breaking a rule that gets them a penalty turn, we also give penalty points if they touch at all. Any carbon-to-carbon touch, they get, we call it hard contact, and the guy on the wrong gets 2 points, and the guy on the right gets a point. So he's never very happy.
And the carbon-to-carbon touch, that rule, I mean, pretty much everything on these boats is made of carbon. That includes the racks, I'm guessing?
It includes the racks, but if you say at a situation where you're going very slow and you can fend off with your hands, that's not hard contact, but nearly everything else is.
So you could crash into one of the sailors. That doesn't count. That's allowed. Like you can.
Well, of course, if you injure the sailor, then there's a whole pile of other rules that come into force. But the hard contact only applies to carbon.
I mean, you know, to my eye, it looked like in the racing yesterday, you know, there were sort of 4 or 5 boats in what looked like space for only 3 at times. And actually the sailors all doing quite a good job of keeping them apart. You know, there must be times where you're sort of going along at 25 knots in the speedboat trying to keep up with the boats you're trying to umpire and sort of going, God, I'm glad that this actually looks quite difficult for the sailors, you know, to actually achieve what it is that you're trying to sort of inflict on them with your flags and whistles.
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic, the sailors. Particularly when they bear off that first reaching mark and they nosedive. I don't know how the guys behind avoid them, but they do. And it's a high level of skill that the guys have. But we do have to try and encourage them to stay apart. Otherwise, we wouldn't get any racing done. We'd just spend our time doing repairs.
Great stuff. Well, listen, thank you. It's great to have you know, such a senior umpire team here, and I know the Steelers really appreciate it. So good luck today, Bill O'Hara. I think you were rules advisor to almost 4 teams in the Olympics. What was it, 3? China, Ireland, and Romania. Oh, Slovenia. Sorry. Did they all got silver? Hopefully none of them protested each other. Right. Last but not least, we're going to go and say hello to Nicholas Dackhammer on board Essek, and then the boats are going to go out. I obviously trying not to fall in. I don't know how. Marley, our cameraman's doing an excellent job. There we go. Trying to bring you really news from every boat. Coming on board Essek Racing, thank you. Nicholas, today it's redemption time, isn't it? A couple of taps, you know, lots of a bit of aggression yesterday. You know, a couple of results that were okay, couple not so good. Today you've got to go out there and full mains, different conditions, deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as you say, yesterday was a bit frustrating for us. And but I mean, we thought of yesterday, and we do bad starts, we do some bad tacks, we do some bad maneuvers, we do some bad jibes. It's like around the whole course we do just a little too many mistakes, and that cost us a lot. And it was the same the first day. But we know we can sail on a higher level than what we did. So I mean, as you say, it's redemption day. We thought it was yesterday our day, redemption day, but today it's now we're really aiming for the second place, and we have a 6 points gap to both the other boats that are in second and third place right now, and they've promised us at least 7 races and double points in the 2 last races, so it's possible. So we're gonna go for it.
Great stuff. Well, Nicholas is going to go for it. Etic Racing are going to go for it. We've heard from all the other teams. It's time to stop talking, start sailing, start acting, and see who is going to be crowned champion here in Helsinki.